Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, and South Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web. Pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is, of course, the Sunday night edition of the Corridor Transformation, where, of course, we sort of mellow down, but at the same time, hitting, of course, very poignantly the relevant and, of course, the burning issues that is, of course, today Trinidad and Tobago, brought on, of course, by an administration that has lost its way. In fact, it is deemed to be a lame duck administration. Yes, a lame duck administration. Lame duck simply means it has lost its way. It has been and is incompetent. And it's just a matter of time before, of course, it makes it exist. How would that happen? Well, we must first call the elections, and then the people, of course, will make the decision ultimately. So in spite of the Christmas feeling and the season, no one must, of course, lose sight of the fact that we have been on the path of total and absolute economic, social, psychological destruction by a party that has imploded and they therefore exploded. And so it is important that we understand that that is the challenge that Trinidad and Tobago has, which we must, of course, come up to scratch or challenge in itself or confront affirmatively.
We love to sing your way.
Yes, indeed, people. Yes, indeed, people. As the trade union movement took to the outside of the Prime Minister's office, Whitehall, the people spoke, of course, loudly and passionately. And this is some of the scenes that was outside of that particular institution called the Office of the Prime Minister. Yes, that is some of the scenes that were outside there. And I promise, of course, that I will show some of it tonight. So there we go, and there it is. Outside of the office of the Prime Minister, these scenes were captured. And I want to tell you that is not all. There is more. There is more. But where it came from here.
When the people cry out, for justice, he make mockery. And you know what he says? He says ding 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 ding. Because yeah, you remember that? Yeah, ding 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 ding. Well, friggin' ding 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 ding. You want 47?
Tensions are mounting ahead of the planned protest outside Whitehall on Saturday, where workers are being urged to come out in their numbers to express their dissatisfaction with the government, particularly in light of Cabinet's recent decision to accept the recommendations of the Salaries Review Commission, which will see the Prime Minister's compensation increase by roughly 47%.
They have taken us down this road in the mess that we are in right now. They recognize that they can't fix it, and they are about to fill their pockets before they go. And so he wants to feather his nest to ensure that his pension is the highest pension anyone, any government or any prime minister has ever received from now into perpetuity. And so that is why he could tell you in your face that he don't care if it's fair, he cares about himself.
Cabinet's acceptance of the pay increases comes even as many workers are still working on dated salaries, some as far back as 2010, and as at least 2 trade unions have refused to accept the 4% wage increase offer.
We have done the exercise, and 4% over a 6-year period in some instances results in the workers' wages being reduced between 28 to 32 percentage points. We are demanding, and all other members who will have received the 4%, we are demanding that this government revoke that 4% and enter into meaningful discussion with the labor movement.
Meantime, with Auditor General Jaiwanti Ramdas raising red flags over the accounting of $850 million at PTSC and a $2.6 billion discrepancy in the revenue statements, the union leaders are echoing calls for an investigation.
We ain't saying that they thieved the money, but we ain't sure that they didn't thieve the money. We want to know where that money gone. We demand an investigation. 2.5 billion plus 850 million and all the other monies that they have missing could very well ensure that all of these workers, the postal workers, the workers, the PTSC workers, the MTS workers, the daily paid workers, the port workers, the workers across the country, the security services across the country could well ensure that everybody get a decent wage adjustment.
Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
The Joint Trade Union Movement and the National Trade Union Centre staged a protest outside Whitehall at the Queen's Park Savannah today. Planned over a week ago, the demonstration attracted a diverse cross-section of organizations, including the United National Congress, the National Transformation Alliance, other political parties and civil society groups, all joining in solidarity. The trade unions are now vowing again to remove the People's National Movement-led government as they shared a growing list of concerns, including the Salaries Review Commission report, the cost of living, and the government's salary offer.
But let me tell you, who not to vote for? Come on! Any man here, after we talk all this, could even entertain in their mind to put that tyrant back in office? Go and shoot yourself. Because that is being suicidal. And you are destroying not only your life, you're destroying your family, your children.
The union signed a letter addressed to the Prime Minister, and a crowd marched from the Whitehall to the Diplomatic Centre to deliver it.
And if this PNM government believes that they are atomic energy, we're going to show them once and for all, as a people, as a society, and as individuals, collectively, we will give them a lesson and teach them a lesson that they will never, 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 never forget in their lives. And remember, comrades, if you touch one, you touch all.
During the march, they were briefly blocked by police, but were eventually granted permission to proceed and deliver the letter. However, they faced another obstacle when security at the Diplomatic Centre refused to accept the letter. So they left it on the gate of the residence.
There would come a time when we would come here and we would not go back.
Oh yes!
There would come a time when we would come here and we would not leave.
Yes!
We have to prepare. And that time we shall be accompanied by many, many, many more thousands of us.
Yes.
That time is not today. But having the importance of that document at hand, we left it right on the gate.
The unions are expected to announce their next action in the coming week. Otto Carrington, CNC3 News.
Yes, indeed, people. Of course, once again, we are plagued with another evil specter of brutal
Vote them out!
and, of course, unprecedented
As promised,
conduct by a government that has lost its way. Some say it is a lame duck government. Some say it is a government that has become callous. Some say it is a government that has no respect for the rule of law. Some say it is a government that has betrayed the trust of the people. Some say it is a government that has no idea as to what democracy is, because it has, of course, confiscated, taken over, and, of course, prescribing its own new dictates, rationale, and rules as far as democracy is concerned. Might I remind you that democracy is government by the people, of the people, and for the people. Let me also say that Vox Populi, Vox Dei, Vox Populi, Vox Dei, the voice of the people is the voice of God. It cannot mean that it is for evil. And therefore, when a government comes into office for evil, then the process of Vox Populi, Vox Dei, the Latin expression for the voice of the people is the voice of God, has either been undermined or not applicable. Let me repeat. Vox Populi, Vox Dei the voice of the people is the voice of God. And Rowley and they will claim, of course, the original, intended, and of course, well established and ensconced meaning of Vox Populi, Vox Dei. And therefore, somehow, they would believe that they were, of course, anointed to rule. Well, I want to tell them, just in case they are myopic and have on blinders, that the same principle applied to, of course, Hitler in Germany. The same principle applied to, of course, Mussolini in where? In Italy. The same principle applied to, of course, Saddam Hussein in Iraq. The same principle applied to Mugabe in Zimbabwe. The same principle applied to the Libyan former head Gaddafi. Understand that. And the same principle apply to, of course, Maduro in Venezuela. Why am I bringing these to the fore in relation, of course, to Vox Populi, Vox Dei? The voice of the people is the voice of God. I say to you, on this, of course, 8th day of December 2024, that the Lord gives a people such a government to make them pinch themselves, to make them realize and make the comparison as to that which was good as opposed to what they have now. And therefore, in all common sense and regulatory manner of discerning, that mistake will not be made again by that people or that society. So when Rowley applies Vox Populi, Vox Dei to the presence of his administration, and therefore somehow, some enigmatic way, some mysterious way, that they have the right to rule, I say to them, that is a man-made and a PNM construct to fool the people once again, to fool them, and to, of course, give the impression that somehow, as I have always asked, when Rowley and they believe that the country was bequeathed or willed to them by somebody, and they claim it is Eric Williams, then the obvious question is, since all of us as citizens, once you are born here, own a piece of Trinidad and Tobago, and can make equal claim like to Rowley and everyone else in his cabinet and government, who gave Trinidad and Tobago to Eric Williams, since all you say all you inherited from Eric Williams? Hold all your tail. Hold all your tail. That is not just fallacious. It is not just false. It is not just mendacious. A lie, a deception. But it is, of course, an attempt to keep the people in bondage, to keep you focused on a pernicious, evil, wicked, diabolical, arrogant, contemptuous, and clearly a despotic group, despotic and despicable group of individuals. Their sins and their infringements is so egregious that the only remedy one can have for this is blue lights and silver bracelets must be the portion of Rowley and his cabinet. Let's not waste time. Let us not waste time. I want to say once again, of course, for those of you who just joined us, yes, I'm in front of the camera, very much so in front. And of course, I want to thank all those persons who had given me lessons and of course have contributed, of course, to getting the system operating in such a way that in a very long time, I'm seeing myself, of course, not just lucid, not just clear, not just conspicuous, not just transparent, but of course, I see that there is, of course, even the cooperation of the lips and the hands. Yes, I see the cooperation of the lips and hands of course, in coordination with what is being spoken. And I want to, and of course, delivered. And I want to say to Cyrus, the computer wizard, thank you very much, of course, for that intervention and that assistance that was provided free of charge. I promise, of course, I will be organizing a section of the corridor transformation for those persons who have done yeoman service in the background and not recognized anywhere nationally or community-wise, etc., that we need to recognize these people. Yes, we need to, because we, as the ones that are in front of the camera and at the forefront of the various initiatives to enlighten and to upgrade and to edify and educate the masses and the population at large, and to concretize various efforts to, of course, get the population to understand. And if this was paid attention to since 2015, September 2015, and during the elections of 2015, when Andy, Mighty, and myself, and to a lesser extent, but nonetheless, Eversley, if they were paying attention to what we were saying then, Eversley, of course, has, of course, like a chameleon or a metamorphosized insect, have, of course, shifted from his utterances. At least I don't know what is in his mind. I could only, of course, judge from external indicators and my own experience, just as you, as to how people operate. One can safely say that he is now in the camp of the PNM based on his utterances. Of course, I saw some indication some time ago that that may not necessarily be so, or he may be having a second look at his position prior to, of course, now. But that being as it may, the fact of the matter is that Trinidad and Tobago is in a desperate state. And I want to say as well that while the attendance, and it is wrong to expect more from us, if the trade union, as Roger admitted by saying that on another occasion more people will come out, is an admission that we of the pushback movement have been able to bring out, to have more of our citizens, conscious citizens, participate in, of course, in the early days, even during COVID. And don't let Imbert Day use COVID as any excuse for missing of money. Don't allow it. Don't allow them to continue to insult your intelligence individually and collectively and as organizations and or institutions, whether you be a church-based institution, a religious-based institution, or you a community, or you are community-based, or you are social-based, or you are education-based, or you are sporting-based, or you are youth-based, or you are senior citizen-based. Don't allow them to insult your intelligence. Because the money we are talking about is billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. And why we must show no mercy is because during the last budget for 2025, 24-25, it was Imbert was taunting the opposition. And the opposition leader in particular, she has taken enough, people. And we must defend that which is right, that which is righteous clearly, that which is appropriate and salubrious to our advancement. Let us not waste time and talk about texture of hair and color of skin. That is irrelevant. That is ocious, people. It was Imbert who said that when the opposition leader presented her rebuttal to the 2025 budget, he turned and said that they can't even check simple arithmetic, meaning that multiplication, addition, division, and of course subtraction. That is what he said, insulting the intelligence of these people. And then it turned out that upwards of over $2.5 billion, $3 billion cannot be accounted for, he being, of course, Minister of Finance. What are your views on that? What are your views? You see, they have this propensity, this proclivity, almost it appears to be endemic of this government. When they are in charge and believe that they are large, they believe that they can insult and that they can, of course, engage in activities that is not only misfeasant, people, not only larcenous, not only corrupt, not only despicable in terms of their mismanagement, not only in their undermining the principles of right and wrong, not only that, but they have demonstrated a level of corruption, nepotism, cronyism, and clearly the kleptocracy that they have generated over the last 9 years. A kleptocracy, of course, is a government by thieves. Government by thieves, people. And they want us to countenance or stomach that level of what I consider to be destruction. As they, of course, come in our faces by virtue of their press conferences, etc., in order to, of course, spew their hogwash and deception. Let me say at this point, of course, the lines are open, 337-6940. You can, of course, test it now and see. I think the WhatsApp, of course, tab or that particular mechanism is up so that I can get it on the system. But if not, of course, we will make the necessary adjustments. You can call me on the handset. But I want to tell you, yes, indeed. I don't know if it is, if somebody was trying to get me, it is on silence. Yes, indeed. Yes, people. Yes, people, we have to be conscious. And let's go back to where it started in terms of the obligation that led, of course, to the protests outside the office of the Prime Minister. And of course, the march that ensued. Yes, indeed.
SRC wants pay hike for PM. Rhea Tate, 15th NOV, 2024. Rhea Tate. Follow Rhea Tate. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. The Prime Minister is in line for a huge salary increase if the recommendations of the Salaries Review Commission, SRC, in its 120th report are accepted by the Cabinet. The Prime Minister's current salary is $59,680 per month. The SRC, in its 117th report, which was laid in the Parliament in February of this year, had initially recommended a monthly salary of $80,000 before tax for the Prime Minister. However, this 117th report was sent back to the SRC for a review and a revisiting of the recommendations, primarily because it failed to recommend any increases for members of the judiciary, had recommended decreases for a number of top-level office holders, and, according to Finance Minister Coleman Burt, contained anomalies. The 117th report was therefore sent back to the SRC. The SRC's 120th report is the product of this review by the Commission, and it was laid in the House of Representatives yesterday. It recommended significant increases, not just for the Prime Minister, but for several other office holders. The report said with effect from October 1, 2020 to September 30, 2023, the Prime Minister should receive $80,000, and then from October 1, 2023, his monthly salary should be increased to $87,847. If recommendations are accepted, the Prime Minister's back pay would be substantial, amounting to about $1 million before tax. With respect to the President of the Republic of TNT, whose current salary is $67,270, the SRC recommended an increase to $73,920 with effect from April 1, 2020 to March 31, 2023, and to $81,170 from April 1, 2023. With respect to the opposition leader, whose current salary is $29,590 per month, in the case of this leader of the opposition, because she served as Prime Minister, she also receives the difference between this salary and her prime ministerial pension, and therefore will receive the same back pay as the Prime Minister if the recommendations are accepted. The SRC recommended that with effect from October 1, 2020, the salary of the opposition leader be increased to $47,500, and then from October 1, 2023 to $52,159. For ministers who are members of Cabinet and currently receive a salary of $41,030, the SRC recommended an increase with effect from October 1, 2023 to September 30, 2023 to $47,500, and with effect from October 1, 2023, a further increase to $52,159. For non-cabinet ministers whose current salary is $33,040, the SRC recommended an increase to $39,000.
Let's pause, of course, and let's look on the phone now, and of course take on Mr. Tagariga on this instance. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello, good night, boy.
Pardon me?
Good night.
Yes, good night to you, my friend. Go ahead.
You hear me good?
Loud and clear, my friend. Loud and clear. Feeling like a freshly minted shilling.
All right. Why do we play GCPO Public Review Commission? You put a new man there, you know?
You put a new man there? The CPO? A new CPO? Okay.
I hear that on the news.
All right, okay. Well, there's always something sinister about this government. They may want to throw him under the bus, for example, to say that it was his idea. Therefore, they dismiss him. Let me tell you one of the narrative. They dismiss him because they want, of course, a better arrangement because Imbert already offered 5%, and that's the starting point to move further. That is what they're coming with, among, of course, other deflections. But nothing they do. Eat them out because it's not their money anyway. As they try to project and pretend and vote the tails out. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, Lennox, when he talks so much of crap, when he comes to give an explanation why they had to do it, right? He was on our show with Marlon Hopkins Day.
I see.
And say if they didn't do it and the government didn't accept, they would have to wait another 15 years.
Right.
They could bring it up again.
Right.
And nobody will ask him, so what's the big deal? If it take another 15 years to bring, so what? The point is, with raising people's salary, including you own too, eh?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, because he got raised too.
Right.
So, I don't know that's why they get rid of he, as you see. And that's
No, it's something sinister, something because they believe it is their political survivability is threatened and their asinine
propensities.
Not just propensity, yes, it's a propensity, yes, but their belief in their asinine propensity that somehow they could continue to fool the people.
I think that done, they can't fool nobody again.
That's right, exactly, but they will die trying. Because they know is blue lights and silver bracelets is clearly the alternative and the inevitable.
The next two things I want to talk about.
Go ahead, my friend.
The man who they shoot up in the car there by the bar, wherever they was.
Yeah.
They shoot up that man like in the days of John Dillinger and Al Capone and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that fella had a firearm, he could have protect himself, not to Lennox.
That's right.
And the police saying something about family is a family thing because some little girl crawled out of the car after.
Mm-hmm.
Or we see that in the video. But in any event, if it's a family thing,
mm-hmm.
and had all right to defend himself,
yes.
so he should have a gun.
Yes.
Now this is reminiscent of the old days. We used to say crime is drug related and gang related and all, so they back up to the old tricks again.
Yes.
And the next thing I want to find out is, would they showing you all these guns for every night? Would they take off so much a gun and they take off?
But it's obvious. It's part of the propaganda that their machinery has collapsed and that they are like a drowning man hanging on to straw. But eventually, they know that a drowning man will eventually, of course, drown. Just as a hanging man. Go ahead.
You take off 10 gun and 100 coming in, so what's the point? What's the point of showing me all these guns?
No, that they will always do that. You see, they will play up that which they feel will, of course, score points for them. They will play that. They will make that look as though it's normal. The millions that would have been lost, the millions that they would have, of course, squander, etc. Then when they catch 1 million, they then make it look as though you should forget the multi-millions that were squandered and stolen.
Well, here the greatest though.
Yeah.
Shall I send out WhatsApp for you now?
Go ahead.
Gregory Abu sales dog in Port of Spain, right?
Uh-huh.
But he expect coming to the finish.
Uh-huh.
He's going to improve. Right?
Yes.
So the word he used coming to the finish is like even a horse race he talking about.
Yeah. Well, all of them have gone mad, you know. You notice that. Who the gods was to destroy, they first sent them mad because the nonsense they spoke in the beginning and their attachment or hitching their wagons, of course, to a despicable, incompetent, impotent, corrupt, and at the same time they are supporting, you know, corruption when they continue, of course, to try to be complacent or try to be biasly neutral, if that is a term you could use, biasly neutral, meaning that they would, of course, appear to be neutral because the PNM they don't want, of course, to talk the truth about the PNM, and therefore they will appear to be neutral, so that, of course, the UNC can get some kind of, should I say, blaming in the process. So we understand the complexity of their utterances. Go ahead.
But I want to tell Gregory about if he's listening.
Yeah.
That horse for you riding, because you're talking resource talk.
Right.
But coming to the finish, let me tell you something, Gregory Aboud. If you bring back the great Charlie Jones to ride that horse for you bring in it, that thing will make no difference. But that's finish. I shame. When I pass and see Frederick Street, I'm to Frederick Street. You shopping mall at the Caribbean. How you don't feel, Aboud, when you see what happened to Frederick Street? Eh? We had the capital of the shopping capital of the Caribbean here. I look what happened to it. Barber shop and people selling hot dog and all
I'm
that.
telling you, on Frederick Street,
Frederick Street, boy.
it has turned to a hawker's paradise.
The pride of the Caribbean.
Yeah, a pavement attraction street, the main street of Port of Spain. I mean that is an understatement. That is not the appropriate description. It's worse than that.
We used to call it the drag, Lennox.
Yes.
Proud of Frederick Street, nobody proud of that.
And mind you, if you are saying what he said, then he shifted his money where his mouth has not indicated, because he has gone into, of course, next to Solo up there in that of course industrial estate to open up a brand new facility there from the highway. Yeah, you can see it. He gone up there. He closed store. So he probably looking for sale for the building in town. Probably that's why he's talking that way. But clearly they have given up on Port of Spain.
Imagine that, and he fight so long, but he make it come so.
Of course he contributed to it.
Because he support the enemy too.
That's right.
If he open up his mouth and talk like a man.
Yes.
Like how we talking here now.
Yes.
The PNM will have to make sure they're well protected and all of that.
That's right.
So
and of course,
go by solo, where he going?
And
right?
I want to tell the fellas on the mall, the People's Mall, that piece that extends from Frederick Street to Henry Street. If Gregory Aboud had supported them, the development proposed by then Prime Minister Manning would have already been established, and they would have been, of course, firmly entrenched as businessmen in Port of Spain. But clearly, whenever he was broached on that particular specific matter, he never, of course, said yes or no, meaning that one could conclude that he has disagreed with those persons being so close to him and his business, yes. And of course, Africans having a business in town, yeah.
Yeah?
You
never tell them when the mayor bring record back and all this thing, you talk about that.
Yes.
But that ain't good enough. Everybody afraid to walk in Port of Spain.
That's right.
You should have insisted
Because
that
it's crime, quite apart from the wrecking your day, quite apart from that, you have, of course, crime and criminality and extortion and so on. Also, of course, don't talk about invasion. There's invade them stores and all, you know.
You
invade
know
them
what
stores.
I mean?
Yeah.
So when he leave town, waiting up there,
So it's not home invasion alone, it's store invasion as well.
and them fellas go have it like in holiday.
Yes.
They were going all them millionaires, see plenty like come.
That's right.
Yeah, they grants. And what they going to do then? Put it in and watch that?
Yeah, it's quite apart, of course, from that fact. And no parking facilities.
Like, well, all them they grant.
Yes.
Look what the hell they do to Port of Spain and Lennox. That is grievous, you know.
Yeah, but it is unfortunate, but clearly reinforces the fact that the PNM must be exterminated. They must be, of course, eliminated from the political consciousness and the political arena in Trinidad and Tobago.
When you study the days of Frederick Street by Lennox.
Yeah, a place where you go in the night and window shop. Today, all you're seeing is opaque, huge gates that you can't see through, made of steel. and locks.
You can't see nothing.
No, steel and locks come in the daytime when we open, but in the night you can't go on window shop to say, well, I see this item, I will go in the morning and maybe make a purchase, go to the bank and plan your day. You no longer could do that because Frederick Street does not no longer facilitates that.
Frederick Street, boy.
Yeah, you have Frederick Street is slowly turning into, of course, what I consider to be the and the avenue and the avenue of Port of Spain. you know, you have the avenue. Well, yeah, no. The avenue in Woodbrook, where of course all these new developments, businesses, entertainment and so on. Well, Frederick Street is becoming that slowly.
Oh gosh, boy. Yeah, Lennox, you only imagine how that has got me away.
Yes, I can well imagine, boy, because you would have been extremely. You would have been in the days when, of course, it has its heyday, when, of course, it was at the apex of its popularity and the place to be for any Caribbean visitor or foreign visitor. Frederick Street would have been one of the streets you must see and visit.
All the nice Glenden's Woolwood, Capelani, Steve Mantod.
That's right. Yes.
That's what it is, Frederick Street. Lennox?
Yes.
Boy, you know, barber shop and all kinds.
Yeah, barber shop, confectionery shops. You have these bars, these bars, and you also have cafeteria and all. I mean, it is just pathetic.
Lennox, the last time I walk on that street, I ain't lying. Long time when you walking on Frederick Street. Night girls on the pavement walk in. Every 2 minutes, I turn back and look at one. When you walk in here, I look at nobody. I don't like people walking on the road again.
No. Just keep your face straight.
Yes.
Straight and vex. Keep your face straight and vex because you're expecting, of course, somebody to raff your wallet, your pocket, your chain, or some other item of value to you.
Nothing attractive on the street again.
Yes. That is how the PNM has made Frederick Street become.
Imagine that, boy.
Yeah.
All right, well, sure.
Yes, man.
Somebody else might want to call you.
Yes, indeed. No doubt. Yes, so let me go to let me just thank that caller for calling. Oh, we have Miss Santa Cruz is on, yes. Pleasant good night. Sorry about that. I didn't hear your call, Miss Santa Cruz. Good night.
That's all right, Lennox.
Yeah, because I think something is wrong with the phone. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, because I sent you a WhatsApp a message that like it giving trouble. But anyway, I'm on yes. Lennox, and I'm listening to you attentively.
Right.
Lennox, here now, you keep talking about silver bracelets and blue lights, right?
Yes.
How come Roger ain't telling Rowley about silver bracelets, but he was always telling Kamala about silver bracelets? How come he was ready to jail Kamala for interfering with the HSF money, but ain't telling Rowley nothing about the HSF money or what they're taking out of it? And lying to the people that they're putting back? What they're putting back, Lennox? Hey, let me tell you something, You see how we care, but just be lying? All of them just be lying, right? And then they want to believe anything Imbat and them tell them. Look how money magically appear again with the cost overrun. But Lennox, as I was saying, you keep talking about silver bracelets and blue lights. I want to see them suffer. I want to see them suffer, Lennox, the way they suffer the people of this country. Lennox, I don't care who say what. All who want to call on Jesus, but talking about Dr. Rowley, such a good man, I want them to show me the goodness in that man. That man took away money from the children with cerebral palsy. I don't even know if the empowerment center was ever open for those children to go and do their exercises and things there. He took away food from the mouths of the parents because they can't work, right? They can't work, and the partnership government was giving them a stipend and teaching them, to do things and all this kind of thing. Because these people, they have to stay with the children. Everybody know that. And it's the wickedness they're doing the people of this country, Lennox. But Lennox, I am understanding that tomorrow
Yes.
they are going to debate. They are going to debate because I sent you the reading out of it.
Yeah.
That they're going to debate the elections and boundaries, shifting of the boundaries and renaming constituencies.
Okay. I thought it was only the salary review commission's matter that is to be confirmed. I wasn't aware, so I will take a look at that as well. Thanks for
Read
that.
it, read it, and I am because somebody told me that is they're going to debate that on Monday, but I don't think they're going to debate the salaries the salaries on Monday. You know, like apparently you don't want to touch it.
No, they're not debating,
don't want
but
to touch it.
they're supposed to formally accept it.
Yeah.
That is my understanding. Yes.
But he as I told you, I got notification
Okay.
that they are going to debate, and I sent it for you.
Okay.
I
Thanks very
sent
much.
it for
Yes.
you also. Yeah, so you can take a read as to what it is really going on there. But Lennox, I want to know why it is that what is the purpose of they renaming the constituencies and shifting the boundaries? What is the purpose? Are they pulling a Tobago on us?
Oh yeah.
But they saw what happened in Tobago.
Yeah.
They have no shame.
Yeah.
They have no shame, right? And you know, people keep talking about oh, he's so good and he's so this and he's so that and he's
Who's
so
that?
the other.
Who is so good? Because it is not obvious to me, and I supposed to be in a position to know. So who they referring to? Who is this person that is so good?
Rowley.
But no, but I mean
You really have to laugh.
they have to be, of course, auditioning for Tommy Joseph or Larry Joseph or something of that nature.
Yeah, it had to be.
Because I mean, I just can't comprehend that any sane person will, without, of course, short of making a joke, will, of course, consider Rowley as a good person.
And Lennox, the amount of blessings they're showering on him. Yeah, I wonder if they showered the same amount of blessings on Manning when he went Likoto to twist Manning. But he had to pay for that. He can't get away with that, Lennox.
Of course not.
And I'm hearing now, well, you know, big headline in the newspaper that Emery Brown might be taking over Rowley's seat. Rowley's too greedy to give up that seat.
Yeah. The only reason he will give it up, let me tell you now, is because when he realized that no way he could get back there. Because remember, in the best of times for the PNM, they could have only mustered up 23 seats. Let us not forget that.
Yeah.
That's the best of time.
Yeah.
In 2020, they still lost another one. They now have 22. What does that mean? It means that the UNC 19, 20, 21 needs 2 seats to form the government minimum. But I expected that there will be 27 to almost 39 seats for the UNC in the next round. That is how bad. Whether he put Emery Brown, or he put Louis Thomas, it doesn't matter. That is the death knell of the PNM, and that is their future out of the politics.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Or he could put in Lekoto Jambi. He could put in Lekoto Jambi. But Lennox, you know what has amazed me?
Go ahead.
Everybody seeing the destruction that Rowley destroying this country and gets to lick a jump on the PNM bandwagon. And before I leave Lennox, I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Do you remember Deuki Vidya Deuki Singh or something, whatever his name is?
Yeah. The man who is the receiver of the oil, the fake oil, yeah.
With A&V.
Yes.
Right. He was a dipstick man.
Yeah.
He moved from making tea and coffee to measuring oil.
Yes.
Right? All of a sudden, this man disappeared from this country. Where anybody know where he is? I wonder if any PNM might know. But they want to know where the SIS man is. But they ain't asking about the video.
Well, we must
Gain
ask,
action about
and we
it.
have been asking. Somebody said that they saw a ghost of him coming through, of course, the forest between, I think, Santa Flora and Point 14. So let's see. You know, there's a shortcut through there to end up, of course, on the most southerly part of the country, Santa Flora, from Point 14. Well, they say they saw him sometime, a ghost of him trekking through there, and of course he was told that people looking for him. He said, well, of course, you see where he is? I have disappeared.
He damn right, he followed Pravat and all of them to Panama. All of a sudden, the man disappeared when the mark bus.
Yes.
When the mark bus, the man disappeared, but they want to know about SIS.
Don't be surprised
these
if he is
PNM might
getting,
have
of
no
course,
shame, you know.
his fill of the corrupt windfall that the Rowley administration has administered for him to keep his mouth shut. We have seen that too often, not to understand that, whether it be, of course, not just the fake oil, but to those persons who would have been engaged in, of course, mashing up, destroying, of course, the sea bridge and the acquisition of those two boats, whether it be the Ocean Flower or the one that is engaged now, the Kobo Star. Yes, or indeed, the other one that, of course, hardly sails and people say is a riverboat. Yes, I'm talking about, of course, the Galleon Passage.
Yeah, you know, I've heard about that.
Yeah,
that boat, the Galleons
and that was
Passage.
to do what? That was, of course, he say, an extra boat to take people from the Toko port that never is, never
they
was,
build no port, you know, but they buy the boat.
and is elusive from that port to, of course, Tobago. Another, of course, failed project, but we don't know where the money has gone because they're spending a lot of money to, of course, do the infrastructure leading right up to that port project that Rowley says would, of course, assist in the shortening of the distance between Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of hogwash.
That's we fool the people with.
Yes.
We fool the people. But Lennox, let us remind the people that a fiasco, because Deborah Peaks did tell Forrest to appeal the judgment.
Yes.
That is PNM Section 34.
That's right.
That is their Section 34, where this man benefited from $100 million.
That's
Lennox, you take care and have a good night, and we'll chat again.
Same to you, my dear. That was, of course, our external correspondent, Miss Santa Cruz, of course, making her a very valiant and valuable, of course, contribution to the corridor transformation on this Sunday night. Yes, indeed. And of course, let's go back, of course, to that audio that is being played in the background as to where all of these marches and protests and sudden, of course, recognition that there is an imperative to, of course, take action by all and sundry, particularly those who traditionally claim to be, of course, protecting the working class, and those who have not been, but of course has emerged, such as the pushback movement, and of course the stakeholders movement. All of these are new creations, but of course relevant, and started long before, of course, Roger and they came on board. And as the last caller rightly said, that they suddenly have to face reality that Rowley is poison, is toxic, his irascibility and his weaponizing of government is unprecedented, and he takes no prisoners, including, of course, Roger and even his own trade union. Very powerful at one time, OWTU. And you only have to reference, of course, the promise to sell them or to have them manage that mothballed asset called the Petrotrin oil refinery. I need not say any more. But let's go back, of course, to that and complete that audio.
$1,300 from October 1st, 2020 to September 30th, 2023, and from October 2023 an increase to $43,155. However, for elected members of the House of Representatives who do not hold a portfolio, the majority of which would be opposition members and government backbenchers, the SRC recommended very moderate increases. The SRC proposed that their current salary of $17,410 be increased to $20,668 from October 1, 2020 to September 30, 2023, and then to $22,695 with effect from October 1, 2023. Even less of an increase is proposed by the SRC for members of the Senate, other than those who are ministers or parliamentary secretaries. Their current salaries are $13,060. The SRC has recommended that, with effect from October 1, 2020 to September 30, 2023, it be increased to $15,500 and from October 1, 2023 to $17,020. The SRC left the tax exemptions for all members of Parliament with respect to the purchase of vehicles intact. Members of Judiciary get salary increases. In its 117th report, the SRC recommended no increases in salary or allowance for members of the Judiciary. However, after complaints from the Judiciary and its review of the recommendations, the SRC in its 120th report has recommended that the Chief Justice's salary be increased from its current level of $50,350 to $55,477 with effect from April 1, 2020 to March 31, 2023, and then to $60,919. Members of the Judiciary and the President are the only categories of persons who serve in public office who do not pay taxes on their salaries and their allowances. The SRC recommended that justices of appeal whose current salary stands at $42,020 be increased to $46,299 with effect from April 1, 2020 to March 31, 2023, and then to $50,840 with effect from April 1, 2023. The SRC recommended that the salary of the permanent secretary to the Prime Minister be increased from the current salary of $36,430 to $49,000 with effect from April 1, 2020 to March 31, 2023, and then to $53,806 from April 1, 2023. The SRC's proposals normally span a 3-year period. The SRC recommended 0 increases for office holders under this ambit for the 3-year periods 2014 to 2017 and 2017 to 2020. But in this report, the SRC has made recommendations for 2 3-year periods, 2020 to 2023 and 2023 to 2026, making recommendations for increases in both periods. None of these proposals has been approved. The SRC has merely made recommendations, which must be approved by the Cabinet. It is not customary for the Cabinet to vary these recommendations, although there have been instances when this was done. The NAR Cabinet did not accept the increases for members of the Cabinet, while the Manning Cabinet agreed to smaller increases than what was recommended for ministers. In respect of the Commissioner of Police, the SRC recommended a salary of $39,300 with effect from April 1, 2020 to March 31, 2023, and a salary of $43,155 from April 1, 2023. The identical salaries have been proposed for the Elections and Boundaries Commission Chairman and the Full-Time Public Service Commission. The recommendation is for the chairman of all the commissions, whether part-time or full-time, to receive higher salaries than an elected MP of Parliament who serves a constituency and is a lawmaker. It is noteworthy that the salaries of the chairman of the commission are in many instances twice the amount of a senator. SRC wants pay hike for PM.
So people, of course, the only updating of that report clearly is that it has been, as stated by the Prime Minister, it has been accepted, the recommendations. And I want to tell you, before, of course, we go back to the circumstances that led to the march or the protests in front of the Whitehall and therefore the Prime Minister's office, I want to tell you that, of course, Leons, the representative for Laverton East Movement, he said in no uncertain terms that when the speculation as to the reason for him not going before the screening committee, it was clear to us on the ground report and here that, of course, that situation was one where he spoke out of turn. Remember, he said, I don't get me vexed before I play it, you know. He said he's sure that the government will not accept the recommendations. I want to tell you that. Note that he said that he is certain that the government will not, because he was of the view that, of course, the merit, or put another way, there was demerit in not accepting, or merit in accepting. There was merit in not accepting, as opposed to merit in accepting. And we suspect that is what he got his throat cut for. Quite apart from being easily replaced, because the PNM sees that seat as, of course, their backyard. But I want to tell Laventil East Movant, I want to tell Laventil West, it doesn't matter who. I want to tell, of course, Port of Spain South, I want to tell Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West. I want to tell all of the seats in Diego Martin, Central, East and West, get rid of the PNM and let them understand that you understand that 5 years is not an eternity, one, and two, that because of them maladministration, their cronyism, their opportunism, and their misappropriations across the board, and their inability to manage the affairs of the country, that they must get the hell out of office, and you must send them marching. You must send them marching, people. And let us see, of course, the reason for that march once again.
Cry out for justice, he make mockery. And you know what he says? He says ding 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 ding. Because yeah, you remember that? Yeah, ding 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 ding. Well, friggin' ding 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 ding. You want 47?
Tensions are mounting ahead of the planned protest outside Whitehall on Saturday, where workers are being urged to come out in their numbers to express their dissatisfaction with the government, particularly in light of Cabinet's recent decision to accept the recommendations of the Salaries Review Commission, which will see the Prime Minister's compensation increase by roughly 47%.
They have taken us down this road in the mess that we are in right now. They recognize that they can't fix it, and they are about to fill their pockets before they go. And so he wants to feather his nest to ensure that his pension is the highest pension anyone, any government or any prime minister has ever received from now into perpetuity. And so that is why he can tell you in your face that he don't care if it's fair, he cares about himself.
Cabinet's acceptance of the pay increases comes even as many workers are still working on dated salaries, some as far back as 2010, and as at least 2 trade unions have refused to accept the 4% wage increase offer.
We have done the exercise, and 4% over a 6-year period in some instances results in the workers' wages being reduced between 28 to 32 percentage points. We are demanding, and all other members who will have received the 4%, we are demanding that this government revoke that 4% and enter into meaningful discussion with the labor movement.
Meantime, with Auditor General Jaiwanti Ramdas raising red flags over the accounting of $850 million at PTSC and a $2.6 billion discrepancy in the revenue statements, the union leaders are echoing calls for an investigation.
We ain't saying that they thieved the money, but we ain't sure that they didn't thieve the money. We want to know where that money gone. We demand an investigation. $2.5 billion plus 850 million, and all the other monies that they have missing could very well ensure that all of these workers, the postal workers, the TNT workers, the PTSC workers, the MTS workers, the daily paid workers, the port workers, the workers across the country, the security services across the country could well ensure that everybody get a decent wage adjustment.
Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
Yes, indeed, people, of course, and there is more, because I want you to know this. Take note of this. Take note of this.
I've told my lawyer to tell the parliament I want my money. I don't like my money to sleep out. I want my money.
I'd like my money, please. That's the call from the PM, who wants parliamentary authorities to pay him for the time he was suspended from the lower house.
To other news, the Prime Minister says that many public sector workers could be jobless, and the government could soon have the difficult choice of paying them the arrears they're owed or not to save their bread and butter.
They're coming outside the Prime Minister's office every week and they're shouting at me in case I have it in my pocket to give them. Well, let me tell them tonight, many of you who enjoy that back pay, who's shouting for that back pay, you may get the back pay and lose your job. I want my money. Many of you may get the back pay and lose your job.
Yes, indeed. That's the man. That's the man. You want to hear him again? Listen again.
I've told my lawyer to tell the parliament I want my money. I don't like my money to sleep out. I want my money.
I'd like my money, please. That's the call from the PM, who wants parliamentary authorities to pay him for the time he was suspended from the lower house.
To other news, the Prime Minister says that many public sector workers could be jobless, and the government could soon have the difficult choice of paying them the arrears they're owed or not to save their bread and butter.
They're coming outside the Prime Minister's office every week and they're shouting at me in case I have it in my pocket to give them. Well, let me tell them tonight, many of you who enjoy that back pay, who's shouting for that back pay, you may get the back pay and lose your job. I want my money. Many of you may get the back pay and lose your job.
President, good night. President, good night.
Good night, good night.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to, of course, the Sunday edition of the Corridor Transformation.
Thank you very much, sir. You think, Lennox, you think that man, if he lost his work, he going to be vexed at the back pay? Yeah.
The man is a comic, he's a joke.
You think if he lost his work, he was telling the public servant, if they get a back pay, they could lose their work. But you think if he lost his work, he vexed about his back pay?
Of course not. Of course not. And they're so wicked. You know what is most abhorring and difficult to accept? They know they're thieving. They know they stole over the 9 years so far and continuing. And yet still, because it is there for the taking, they take that too. Well, if that is not the epitome, if that is not the quintessential, what I consider to be avarice or greedy or greedy individual, then nothing else could describe greed as that. Go ahead, my friend.
Lennox, you expect anything from anything else from he that a man who breed a young girl as good child?
well, when they put it that way, I have to accept that I ought not to be surprised. They will pay that way.
A man who was in housing and planning or something so long, and he built a whole building in Mova, and the earth crack up and the whole place, that rush everybody outside. They can't put nobody up there. When man asks him where the money going, you think them fellas, a joke evil boy. Joke evil boy. Them fellas the epitome
Aye, Lennox, easy.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you, my friend. But of course, what is left to, of course, look at? Are we going to, of course, look at our freedom? Are we going to reconsider, of course, the nature of our democracy and the arrangement thereof? Are we going to, of course, look at the various entities that are responsible for the maintenance of our democracy, whether, of course, it be the separation of powers principle as far as the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary is concerned, as well, of course, as the what? As the fourth pillar of democracy. The media, inclusive, of course, the ground report, the corridor transformation, and other social media platforms, from which, of course, the traditional media take their lesson from, or their information from, in order to create their own news. But before that, let's take a look at what transpired
Allies
again.
are rallying towards the joint trade union movement in the lead up to Saturday's protest on the doorstep of the Prime Minister's residence. And with a membership of around 15,000, there's no bigger union partner they can ask for than the Public Services Association. PSA President Leroy Batiste told CNC3 News the decision to take part was made today and was based on the wishes of their members.
Workers have been asking us that they want to say something, so we're going to give them the opportunity.
Batiste said workers are fed up of the unequal treatment and the paltry wage increases being offered at a time parliamentarians are poised to benefit from a handsome raise.
Our simple request is, if it's good for the goose, it is good for the gander. Public officers will be treated with the same level of respect and regard as they are treating themselves.
Meanwhile, the Caribbean Labour Solidarity Group will be showing its support for Saturday's cause by calling for locals in England to picket this country's High Commission office in London on Friday. Meanwhile, the West Indies group of university teachers will not be there with JTEM on Saturday. Its president said she would be out of the country over the weekend. But some members of the opposition are coming. It may not be under the directive of its political leader, but some have made it their business to attend. Couva South MP Rujunat Indar Singh said he would be joined by Senator Wade Mark. Indar Singh said the UNC has been born from a struggle for peace, bread, social justice and equity, and has always stood on the side of the working class. Meanwhile, Shagorna's Mayor Faik Mohammed is coming with some of his burgesses. Mayor Mohammed said he too is going on his own volition because he believes in standing by the people of this country. Other opposition MPs said they won't be able to make it on Saturday but are fully behind the people. Akash Samaru, CNC3 News.
Well, of course, people, I played that simply to, of course, indicate, as we indicated before, we like to verify what we are saying and say what we can verify, and that is, of course, officially the UNC, because people may question the numbers that couldn't be even larger than that of the pushback movement at a very trying time in 2020 when you have COVID regulations in place. Of course, the ground report and its support associates, whether it be some, the stakeholders movement, or whether it be, of course, defenders of democracy, whether it be MLIO, whether it be Lavatil Outreach for Vertical Enrichment, whether it be, of course, the Empowerment Center, we are going to join with the efforts of the pushback movement to, of course, stage a protest, a series thereof, right up until the election is called. Forcing the election, full stop. There can be no other important political issue than rowdy calling elections now. And therefore we have a duty and responsibility to, of course, adhere and to, of course, accept. Very important. But, of course, I got some information from, of course, Miss Arima on the whole question of freedom and the expression thereof. She sent me, of course, that yesterday, and I will want, of course, to share it with you tonight. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hey, Lennox, you hear me?
Pardon me?
You hear me?
Loud and clear.
You remember when we exposed so much as $1 billion, the money when you do it?
When what?
When you exposed so much as $1,000 million.
Yes, 1,000 million. Yes, $1 billion. Yes.
Half a million people are here at 1,000 each time because he was $1 billion.
Yes.
What he must say the next day? He said, but we only spent $361,000. Eh? So where the hell the rest of the 20 billion went, Lennox?
That's right. Where the rest of it went. Yes.
$20 billion you're talking about.
Yes.
What happened to that money? When they gave stupid talk about $200,000 for a vaccine. This we always call them what the dancing.
The assassin.
No, and next name was that for him.
Well, I just call it choir girl, but I think there's some girl talk. There's some girl talk here. Yeah.
So when he said 361,000, in what? Where the hell the rest of the money went, Lennox? Where the money went?
And that's the question. And if it is that you paid someone who was beyond their grain, beyond their capacity, beyond their ability, beyond their forte to do a particular job, what the hell you take our taxpayers' money to pay that person and then come and in our faces and have the audacity to say that, of course, they cannot, of course, manage a project of that nature, and they had to call in, of course, international experts afterwards. But after you would have paid them, so you didn't know that before? You didn't know that before, Imsbert? Nothing different, my friend. Because you had to get angry. Nothing different to when, of course, Rowley is confronted with the fact that Lima lied in a foreign jurisdiction, and he's a liar. Defending, of course, that nonsense and saying, and when they ask him about due diligence, whether he is committed to that or he deployed due diligence, he started to castigate a reporter. And tell him don't ask him nothing again.
Yeah.
I mean that is not just vicious, not just ugly, coming from an ugly man, both externally and internally, but it flies in the face of our intelligence and those persons who are right-thinking Trinbagonians and want the best for Trinidad and Tobago. Go ahead, my friend.
But hear this now.
Yes.
You can't play when you say for them get back pay. Or they have no work next year. They should have said, give me money.
Yeah.
Give me back pay. He couldn't buy everybody.
Yeah. Had the audacity to say that then and come down and making flimsy and tenuous excuses, square peg and round hole logic to, of course, justify monies that they don't deserve. Go ahead. Yeah.
The other way to tell him, give me back pay. Sharpen everybody. The whole country is shut down.
And get back to where to where they don't want them. That is to say, on the blasted streets.
Yeah,
and abandon this government and government in general, which depends, of course, on the public service to, of course, do what is required to have a good functioning government at minimum.
I had a partner, but he was no real partner. But you said gamble, and when he lose,
yeah.
You said my money don't slip out, you know. Just like Rowley.
Yeah, so you want back your money?
Yes, yeah, my money don't slip out, you know.
He wanted back, yeah. That's like the fellow who, when he lost, he pick up his marbles and go.
Well. Last time I did see him, she looking at him, I'm there. He looking for a kidney. I say, a kidney? One of the kidneys gone bad. I say, get back all your money yet?
Oh, Shims. Very good.
I will ask for him the other day, he did.
All right.
He did, so he said, get back all the money.
But yes.
I'm talking about picking up the marbles. But you know, he will talk with me on Richard. I never ever hear that.
No. Go ahead, let me
He
hear.
used to bring bat, ball, and everything to play cricket, you know.
Okay.
And as he young, he pick up everything and he gone.
Go on, all right, Mr. Richards. All right, so in future we'll talk about you hit me Vivian Richards.
Yeah, Tony Cozier, they tell me that.
All right, okay, I hear you.
Yeah, if you used to bring everything as he young, he pick up everything and he gone.
Yeah, all right. But at least it worked for him because he ended up being, of course, extremely famous with the very bat and somebody else's ball. Yes.
All right, Lennox.
Yes, and then yes, my friend. Of course, let's go straight, of course, to the question of freedom and the expression thereof.
What does freedom of expression mean? Freedom of expression is the right of every individual to hold opinions without the government's interference and to seek, receive, impart information and ideas through any means. People have the right to express and share their opinions, feelings, and ideas through different platforms. Examples include printed media, rallies, TV or radio broadcasts, social media, and even art performances such as dancing. It is enshrined in Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Freedom of expression is related to other human rights such as freedom of association and peaceful assembly, as well as freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. In Malaysia, every citizen has the right to freedom of speech and expression, right to peacefully assemble, and right to form associations, as provided for in Article 10 of the Federal Constitution. Why is freedom of expression important? It encourages healthy discourse and debate, as different opinions can help to prove or disprove assertions in all fields. It allows citizens the freedom to criticize the government and to hold them accountable for their policies and actions. It also encourages open communication, free from restrictions or censorship. It can also help to combat corruption by promoting transparency and ensuring access to information. Whistleblowers should also be protected. When can the government restrict freedom of expression? Governments may restrict it in order to protect legitimate state interests. These restrictions must be exceptional and must meet all the following 3 requirements. It is provided for by law. Any restrictions must be given effect by a law or regulation formulated with sufficient precision and clear for people to understand. The restriction on freedom of expression must be in pursuit of a legitimate aim. For example, the government can restrict freedom of expression if there is sufficient evidence that it is deemed as hatred against a person or a group and incites others to commit violence or discrimination. The state must show evidence of this before restrictions are imposed. And lastly, any restrictions on freedom of expression must be necessary and proportionate. The government must demonstrate in a specific and individualized fashion the needs to set the restrictions, and it must be proportionate with the action taken. Freedom of expression is essential and is a right that belongs to everyone. The government must create an enabling environment for everyone to enjoy this freedom. No one's voice should be arbitrarily silenced.
Yes, indeed, people, and of course, and in the context of Trinidad and Tobago, people must understand that, as the article rightly said,
what does freedom of expression mean?
As the article rightly said, that while, of course, the freedom of expression ought to be universal, understood, there are limits to freedom of expression. And it is limited to, of course, in many ways. You have, of course, what is called the maligning of people, yes, there's a limit to that. You cannot say what you want about people. Clearly, many of us will know about the defamation that is, of course, a common law and well, of course, trashed out in the courts as to people who, of course, talk things that they are not factual on, and, of course, people feel offended because it may disturb their ability to earn income, their status or position in a society or in a group, or indeed subject them to ridicule and condemnation. So freedom freedom to express, to speak, is limited in that regard. But of course, we also have, of course, the freedom to move, to march, to, of course, to express our disapprobation or approval of a government. I remember one day, whilst on Prince Street, the police entered, of course, without a warrant into a little, what I consider to be pavement establishment. So it's a makeshift facility preparing and selling, of course, things like roti and spicy, what is considered to be choppers, back and neck and all that kind of thing, yeah. Made with the Jamaican style, jerk neck and jerk back, etc. And they rushed in there. And while one officer was outside, the other two, I believe, went into the establishment. And I saw him face to face. We had a face-to-face confrontation, meaning that we saw each other. And I told him that he looking drunk. Once, twice, 3 times. And then, of course, they took me down to the Besson Street police station because I said that the police officer who was in charge of that clearly illegal conduct was looking drunk. And they subjected me to the most indignified, well, for the normal person with me, I expected that, but I knew in my mind one time what I was going to do. I said, since you're so stupid, you're looking at kidnapping, you're looking at false imprisonment, etc., etc. Well, it appears that somebody inside of the station tell them that that is Lennox Smith. Well, Bacchanal start one time. So I lie down there after they tell me drop my pants. I drop my pants. I look at to take off my jockey shorts. They said, no, you don't have to do all that. And then I went and lie down on the concrete gesso. And I'm planning one time. That happened around, let's say, 6 o'clock. By 7 o'clock, a fella called me. He said, listen, we giving you your own bail. But I said, I didn't ask for it. I was hoping to stay here a little longer. They said, no, we insist, we giving you your own bail. So it appears that they charged me for a very rare case or matter. No, this is only two. A very rare case or matter, yeah, where I was, of course, using insulting language or something to that effect. Using insulting language, I think that was it, yes. Under the same act that gives the police the right to, of course, give the authority to march. Yeah, under that same, should I say, cadre or bundle of laws. So I asked the officer that called me, of course, to give me my own bail, which I didn't ask for. And I was comfortable there because I knew what I was going to do. But apparently they got wind that it was Lennox Smith in his cell there. And of course, I was, of course, charged with another guy, a young man, who was only pensive. He wanted to get out, And I said, lie down and cool it down, man. Understand I'm not being heard on YouTube? But let me confirm that from inside. This is YouTube here. Yes, now I'll find out. This is YouTube here. And then that same, should I say, cadre or bundle of laws. Right, so that's YouTube there. That is the internal monitor is telling me that I am hearing. Right? Yes, indeed. So while he insists that I take my bail, I had to ask him the question. But listen, I just tell a police officer that he looking drunk, and that resulted in me being here. The man say, well, people too disrespectful to the police and so on, and therefore the police had to take action. I say, but I could tell you as a policeman, you're ugly. I could tell you that. It may be insulting, but it is not an offense. Where in the books? Because the area of the law that they charge me under, insulting or inciting, is if what I was saying would have incited others to act in a manner to breach the peace. That is how that could be affected. But because I tell a police officer that he's drunk, or I tell a police officer that he's ugly, I may be insulting, but it is not an offense. The offense of course, I can't remember the number, but I am going to get it for you probably tomorrow. But the fact that I said that, a police officer cannot believe that because he have on uniform and I tell him he's ugly or he's drunk, that he believes that somehow he could create a law to demand respect. No. If my words were such that it incited others to act in a way, maybe to pick up stone or bottle and pelt at him and so on, then of course the law is applicable. You must incite. You must be able to have people act in a way based on what you have said to breach the peace. I'm making the point that in that particular case they wanted to emasculate my right to speak, freedom of speech, of expression. That cannot happen in this country. Rowley will want to say what he wants about women. And when people talk in the same vein about him and those who are around him, excoriating, vitriolic, and clearly obscene, what he has said about women, are misogynic to the core. And you have cat and so on when we repeat or regurgitate what Rowley, who ought to know better, and of course is supposed to be an exemplar and the one who, of course, people must take their moral and ethical compass from. He fails. He fails. So that was important, of course, to make that point. And eventually, of course, well, you know, the matter failed in court, and of course, I had the option to take action beyond that. But of course, my good friend who assisted us during COVID in taking out, of course, those persons who were charged in COVID, a very good friend, Stephen, JP, I decided, well, listen, I'm not going to pursue the matter. If it wasn't for him, I would have pursued it. because it was false imprisonment, false, of course, prosecution, and we can go on and on. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yes, Mr. Lennox Smith. So
Yeah.
I'm coming in now. Thanks
Yes.
for showing the video. We get into
Yeah, that's just
entertain
one.
the people.
I have the other one lined up.
Well, that one cool. You know, I say whichever one you feel because it is.
Yeah,
like
I'm playing
the
both
same
of them
thing.
tonight, just because I mean it brings some valid points with respect to the legislation that is still on the books in Trinidad, and we cannot ignore, even though of course that fundamentally speaks for itself. Talking about the video and the fact that we must not get lured by
Yes,
the fact that there are still
this
things
is
on the books in Trinidad that ought not to be, but are still there that the police will use. Go ahead.
yes. So this is where we should take them to court, have them bring it to their law. You know, tie it into our constitution. Yeah, all the shit
Incidentally,
they're
the
talking.
bundle of law is called the Summary Offences Act. Summary Offences Act
Right.
is usually, of course, dealt with at the magistrate level. It doesn't go to the High Court, and that is what the police uses, the commissioner and so on uses to, of course, give the authority to march, etc. That is contained in the Summary Offences Act. So, people, I think you should familiarize yourself with that act. Go ahead,
All
Miss,
this shit
Miss
they're
Alima.
talking about,
Yeah.
old demand, commit to a treason. All them laws supposed to be out.
Yeah, they're supposed
Everybody know.
to revoke all of them. Yes,
They know
yes.
that, and the only they jamming people, persecuting them. Or you can't hold a placard. Or you can't dip.
And you notice, of course,
can't
even today,
assemble.
I mean, yesterday, they were, the trade unions, even though they would have gotten the permission, were barred from, of course, reaching close to the office of the Prime Minister. And, of course, even when they went to the Prime Minister's residence, the diplomatic center, nobody wanted to take the letter, and they had to leave it hanging on the gate, that letter. So, yeah. All that transpired. So, the government clearly is a despotic group of individuals. They have no regard, of course, for common decency. And in a situation like that, why not just receive the letter? But they want to say that you are a underling. You are my subject. You cannot, of
And
course,
next thing, Lennox,
do a thing like that
people
and
don't
have
need-
me recognize you.
people don't need to apply for no permission either to have peaceful demonstration. We're not supposed to be going through that.
Well, again, the law is that you can assemble for demonstration in a public place. If you have to march, you have to get permission from the Commissioner of Police. That is under the Summary Offences Act as it is today. I expect that Kamala Prasad Bisesa, when she would have got into office next year, to, of course, repeal those pieces of legislation that is obsolete and prohibits people from marching and demonstrating their disapproval of whatever action, particularly by the state or the government.
So she can't do it now?
Go ahead.
That can't happen now? That
Oh, I'm
cannot
not hearing you.
happen now? We cannot.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was asking if that cannot happen now.
No, that is the law now. That is what they used. In 2020, they used, of course, the regulations, the public health regulations. They had no use for that piece of law, but we have been, of course, prohibited and circumscribed. Even when we said that there's a part of that bundle of legislation for religious and military organizations. And when we went up to San Fernando, what we did, we call it, of course, a pilgrimage, a religious, of course, assembly. So they couldn't touch us for that. But when we decided to go on march, they tell us, no, we can't go wrong, we can't go through San Fernando. It has to begin there. They give us a specific time and it ended there. Of course, that was when I must say they were able to have their way because of COVID. But I think we could test it now to see whether or not, that religious aspect of it, whether or not we'll have will not be interfered with to walk around, of course, with placards and so on in our religious, of course, pursuit. Called dominate that, so we don't need the permission of the Commissioner of Police for that.
But what I noticed since the talk in the air about the international law, where I always talking about, I noticed for some time now they're not bothering people who have placards.
Right. Right. Well, there's a reason for that. The government doesn't want to look bad.
No.
Right? Yeah. The government doesn't want to look bad, so therefore, why should they will be begrudging and they will be anxious under normal circumstances to try to use the coercive force of the police and law enforcement agents, and especially those who are sympathetic to them within. They too know that action could mean no bread and butter for them. At the end of the day, they go get fired. So therefore they allow it. Yeah. And looking,
if
of
they
course,
have to deal with somebody like me, I tell you, it will be a horse of a different color.
I'm telling you, so
I waited. I even hear a time, I think it was in Victor, when Victor Robert had a walk from Arangwes to the which part he went on?
To the square.
It had.
They locked the damn square.
They told a lady that, but not only that, here the next part. Imagine a lady had a national flag in her hand, a small one, and I heard them say that the order that the woman put away the flag, she mustn't demonstrate with that. You hear what it is I'm telling you?
Yeah.
I wasn't there, but that was said.
But that's a matter we ought to test in court now with the present law, because why they told us we could assemble and have our placards and so on and protest. They tell us we can't walk with it. So maybe if you suppose if you get permission from the police, you could walk you could walk with it. So that part of it might be a bit dicey, but we could test it and see. But it's important, of course, that we make people know, the authorities in particular, that we revere and we insist that our fundamental rights to, of course, disapprove in a democracy must be respected by even the police, whose job it is merely, if you are misbehaving, if you are breaching the peace, to take action. And they should be there, of course, whether it be traffic direction, etc., particularly if the numbers are such that it will, of course, create issues as far as traffic is concerned. But outside of that, there should be no hindrance for people to march and protest. But as I say, it is on the Summary Offences Act, and that is a fact. And I showed you how we tested it all in whichever way to, of course, and at a time when, of course, it was COVID, and that probably was the best time to test it. And we saw, of course, how they responded, whether it be by tear gas, whether it be by holding some 32 persons, and of course stopping us from walking through San Fernando.
They wanted to frighten people bad, so it wouldn't reach them. But people ain't giving up.
Yeah.
But one thing activists should do is go in the Constitution, the international law, with into the Article 19, and get, research it and get
the freedom
and
to talk,
have copies of it to present to them duncy head police who don't know the law, who always looking to kidnap people.
Yeah, well, they don't even know the local law, because I had to walk with that on one occasion. I remember, just as Victor Roberts, we had applied for permission. Remember, we had a meeting in Woodford Square. So, but we told them that it was to deal with, of course, social issues, etc. So when they hear the kind of venom that was being spewed, I understand the mayor called them inside the town hall, because the town hall is just across the street, across on the northern side of Knox Street, of Knox Street. And then they start to say who gave him permission to do that, and so on and so on. I remember also that I was the one who inform the police, inform them. We didn't ask for any application, inform them that we were having this assembly in the Savannah. I think was pushback 1. And when they heard what was being said and the purpose for it eventually, I remember taking the telephone from someone. They say they want to talk to Smith, and they say this Smith, he never again, he will get, of course, an opportunity like that. And then, of course, just after that, we saw some 30-something persons being, of course, carted away inside a van, which, of course, is small and could not have accommodated all of the persons they arrest. But more importantly, that whilst they were charging us for social distancing breach, they put us in a clustered van, and worse yet, they put them in a clustered room where social distancing was impossible. That is a clear case that they were, of course, rooted for the government. When you're in the open savannah, and it's easy, of course, to social distance there, because the savannah probably could hold half of Trinidad and Tobago, and just about 9,000 persons there, and you still find it fit to. So you're quite right. It was intimidation to the highest level by executing, of course, that brutal force that was unnecessary, and of course it was even more despicable when they practiced on us like guinea pigs as to the riot squad and what they ought to do, practicing on us in a true riotous state, when of course everybody else was peaceful. Only when they started to say Rowley must go, Rowley must go, Rowley must go forcefully, they then, of course, unleashed those canister of tear gas against unsuspecting and innocent citizens of this country. They have a date with the devil sometime, I'm sure, if not already.
Listen to me.
Go ahead.
All how you take it is war. You hear?
Yes.
And we declare war now. All activists have to have a copy of that article in the international law to shoot them.
In addition to what the courts have said locally. Yeah, good night. Yes, indeed. Let's play as a as a closure to tonight's exercise. Yes, sir. Let's as a closure to tonight's exercise, let's play, of course, the other article that she sent.
What is freedom of expression and what is hate speech? Welcome to the Civics Academy Constitutional Rights Series. These videos explore some of our constitutional rights and the institutions designed to support and enforce them. In order to assert our rights, we need to know their meaning and what they include. To use our democratic institutions appropriately, we need to understand their mandate and how they function. In this video, we explain the scope of the right to freedom of expression and its limits as enshrined in Section 16 of the Constitution. What types of expression are protected? Section 16 protects the freedom of the press and other media, the freedom to receive or impart information or ideas, the freedom of artistic creativity, and academic freedom and freedom of scientific research.
People, of course, I must caution, of course, that this is not Trinidad and Tobago's constitution. It may be, of course, the Indian constitution or some other country, but certainly ours have not spelt out as expansive as this. But it's important, of course, to understand what a true democracy is expected to enshrine in their of course in their constitutional arrangement for the interaction of citizens and institutions.
Includes words and other expressive activities like movies, books, paintings, and sculptures. Symbolic acts like burning flags, wearing clothes, and physical gestures are also protected. The right to freedom of expression also protects ideas that will offend, shock, or disturb some people. The right, therefore, also requires people to tolerate the expression of others. The Constitution protects people against being silenced without reason by public or private actors. Ultimately, the court decides what kind of expression the Constitution prohibits. The role of the media and the Internet. The right to freedom of expression includes the right to receive information and unrestricted ideas through the media and the Internet.
Well, of course, people, we will pause there. We will pause there tomorrow night. Of course, we will play in its entirety. Of course, that particular area, because we will again be looking at the whole question of the Constitution. Of course, our rights to, of course, march and to explore what are some of the flaws that we can exploit in order to avoid persons who clearly are pro-government and have been drinking the Balize juice. You see why I'm saying that? I'm saying that for a specific reason. And the clear example was when, of course, the Scrap Iron Dealers Association had a march from and got approval from, I think, somewhere in Cuba to Port of Spain. They'll end up in the savannah. And on the day of the march itself, they were diverted by the police to go to Aranguez. Thus, of course, cutting short their route, which clearly was designed to attract attention. You're going down the Eastern Main Road, densely populated. People are going to come out when they hear the noise, etc., and the commotion to find out what is happening here. And then, of course, they will find out that of course, it is that organization that has organized. No, what they did, they divert them and, of course, give them a pathway to go up to the savannah. And that was the end of it, where people, of course, would hardly pay attention, where people would hardly empathize with, of course, the plight of the scrap dealers. So I was, of course, not surprised and very deliberate when, of course, we got the scrap iron dealer president to be on the ground report, and I asked him the very simple question: were you disappointed with the government's approach? He started to give, of course, some roundabout talk. It's called circumlocutive talk. I went on to say, did you feel betrayed? I said, well, these questions simply require a yes or no answer. And eventually he said a yes. He felt betrayed. But of course he had to also give an explanation, because he somehow is optimistic that Rowley and they are people in government when they wanted, of course, that industry to be in the hands of the well-to-do, the well-established, and the 1%. People, we have come to the end, of course, of tonight's exercise. Let me say, of course, to the very generous supporters and viewers, that our Christmas effort, annual, Shouter Baptist Learning, with the corporation or in association with the Shouter Baptist Learning Institute, whether you have money, you have a check to send, or you have, of course, items. I know that, of course, some people are coming down in January and they will be bringing with them whatever they want to contribute. Yes, we continue the exercise into January, but of course it will be for a different cause, because a different cause in the sense that it will not be Christmas, but certainly the same people would be, of course, in abject need. And we need, of course, to put 24/7 support in place. So those of you who prefer to deliver personally when you are coming down, no problem. But those of you who can, of course, through Western Union or other means, direct transfer to the bank that the Shouter Baptist deals with, we would be, of course, very, very delighted. The numbers are on the screen for you to contact. You can contact me, of course, at the usual 1-337-6940. I suspect that there's something wrong with the system on the main facility that we use, the main tower. I'm going to be looking at that at the end of this program so that we do not have that problem. I love to have you speak directly into the system so that it is much more lucid, much more clear, and much more audible than if, of course, I have to put the phone on the mic in studio in order for you to make your contribution. And it takes away from my own concentration as well, because I may want to do something on the set that one hand will not be able to do. So I'll have to, of course, make sure that that is rectified. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And see you, of course, tomorrow night. But before that, we have tomorrow morning. Yes, the ground report, Andy and myself, as we continue, of course, to treat with the issues of the day. So have a wonderful one, and God bless. Of course, no Sunday night could end without, of course, our anthem, which, of course, will be played momentarily.
told my lawyer to tell the parliament I want my money. I don't like my money to sleep out. I want my money.
I'd like my money, please. That's the call from the PM who wants parliamentary authorities to pay him for the time he was suspended from the lower house.
To other news, the Prime Minister says that many public sector workers could be jobless, and the government could soon have the difficult choice of paying them the arrears they're owed or not to save their bread and butter.
They're coming outside the Prime Minister's office every week and they're shouting at me in case I have it in my pocket to give them. Well, let me tell them tonight, many of you who enjoy that back pay, who's shouting for that back pay, you may get the back pay and lose your job. I want my money. Many of you, you may get the back pay and lose your job.
According to the UNC, the country is in grave trouble and there are very many indicators.
When a fireman was riding a fire truck this morning and the driver of the fire truck negotiated the corner near the Siparia market and the door.
According to the UNC, the country is in grave trouble and there are very many indicators. According to the UNC, the country is in grave trouble and there are very many indicators. According to the UNC, the country is in grave trouble and there are very many indicators. According to the UNC, the country is in grave trouble and there are very many indicators.
When a fireman was riding a fire truck this morning and the driver of the fire truck negotiated the corner near the Siparia market and the door fall out because of a defective fire tender, you know we are in trouble.
But the MP for Couva South says government ministers appear to be comfortable sitting in their ivory towers. Rudranath Indarsingh says he felt insulted at the way Finance Minister Colm Imbert dealt with reporters at the post-cabinet media briefing on Thursday when they sought answers on the Salary Review Commission's report.
And you have a Minister of Finance who thinks he's the Lord of Lords. He thinks apparently he's sitting somewhere within a feudal system. He sees himself as an overlord. He sees himself probably because of his complexion, someone who as a slave master riding a horse and attempting to be, not being able to account to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
And that's why the UNC MP has this challenge for the Prime Minister when the SRC report enters the House on Monday.
If he is man, as he said that he will bear the political fallout, and this is a political issue, well, the Parliament is the place to debate the political issues impacting upon the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And if your name man instruct the Minister of Finance to debate this motion.
And in the political guile, Indarsingh also has this condition.
Lift the whip and allow your members to vote on their conscience as it relates to this particular motion. And I want.
According to the UNC, the country is in grave trouble and there are very many indicators.
When a fireman was riding a fire truck this morning and the driver of the fire truck negotiated the corner near the Siparia market and the door fall out.
According to the UNC, the country is in grave trouble and there are very many indicators. According to the UNC, the country is in